Hey, I'm Aki Hadid, and I want to share with you some really cool things that are going on. But before I go into those things, I just want to give you some history on where we've been and where we're at. So, in case you don't know who I am, I I have the privilege, simply because God impacted my life in a drastic way through prayer, um, to start Streets of Prayer. It's not something I envisioned. It's not something I planned, but God, He called me to this, and I'm not looking back. So, when did He call me? I would say the official call was 2017 in November. That's when I bought the domain name streetsofprayer.com. A little bit about me: I'm a software developer. I was doing that since I graduated from the University of Maryland in computer science, a bachelor's in computer science in 2000. I did a 2-year internship at a company, worked there for another 10 years. Then I worked with my brother, actually doing web design and stuff like that. So my total career in software development has been 19 years, my paid career. So November 2017, I felt called to start Streets of Prayer and start working on it. But I was working full time. I have a family, and then I was doing Streets of Prayer whenever I could. And so I'm married. I have 3 kids: a 7-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old son. And thankfully, God has provided for us. I live in College Park, Maryland. God is. I was able to save up a fair amount of money so that I could actually do Streets of Prayer, even though I didn't plan it. I was able to save up money, and so when I when I started it in 2017, I was working part time. And then finally, the demands became so great that I quit my job in January 2020, which is a couple months before everything broke loose with COVID. But thankfully, we had enough money to carry us over for one whole year without me working. And my desire was that after a year, I'd probably be out of money and I'll either go back to work or I would be able to raise money to keep going. But things happened. Some God brought money in different ways, and I don't even know fully all the different ways yet, but it did happen. And I was able to. I'm able to go 3 years now. I quit in January 2020. It's now April 2023, and some of it has been through donation, but most of it has either been through money coming in. Like my wife had a business and she made extra money that we weren't anticipating, and then I had some investments that brought some money that I wasn't anticipating. So long story short, it's been able to keep going. But here's where I'm coming, and I want to share with you where we're at. But I'm really ultimately asking you, do you want to, if you can partner with me in this ministry, primarily by praying, but also financially, because the financial needs are starting to grow, and they're going to grow exponentially as we try to accomplish this vision. And what is the vision? The vision is cover every person in the world by name by 2030, and surround every street in the world with the prayers of God's people, the praises of the saints, and the proclamation of the gospel. That's the vision. And by 2030, because we want Jesus to come back soon, we actually want him to come back really soon. And the only thing we really want, more than him coming back soon, is to everybody to be saved when he comes back. Now, we don't know who God's going to, who's going to be saved or not in the end, but why not dream for it? God said he doesn't take delight in the death of the wicked. And he says he wants all people to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. So that's what we're praying for. And if we're going to pray for it, let's believe it. And so I want to share my screen to show you where we're at, and give you some cool updates. So here we have, since we started, and the official launch date of the app was really January 2020 when I quit my job. I mean, it's been getting developed since then, but we're going to use that as the official launch date. 42 people have come to know the Lord since we launched. 6,300 plus unbelievers are covered in persistent prayer. And persistent meaning once a week they're being prayed for to come to know Jesus. 1,564 people have signed up for Streets of Prayer. That's believers praying for unbelievers. Over 131,000 prayers prayed. 539 focus areas. Those are areas on the map where people are prayer walking and claimed for Jesus. Over 2,200 prayer walks. So those are some of the statistics. We're ahead of the game. I was hoping to have 1,099, almost 1,100 unbelievers covered in prayer by January of this year, and we're at 6,300. So we're doing good. Some of the cool things on the horizon. I'm making a lot of different partnerships. God is stirring up in people to pray like I've never seen. The first 3 years I was sharing and sharing and sharing, and it just didn't take any root. But now God, after COVID and stuff, people are feeling the need to pray and feeling the burden. And I really do. It's because God's putting it on people's hearts. So this is a wonderful opportunity. Some of the connections we're making: Men for Nations have a heart for raising up intercessors, particularly men intercessors, to strategically cover cities in prayer, starting at DC. Sync with God, it's a discipleship making ministry that started about 30 years ago. We're trying to partner together because prayer is the foundation of all things. And we have some interns, international interns, that want to join us in modeling prayer, but also even using their technical skills. And these are young people, these are high school students. So it's cool to see them using their creativity to try to mobilize prayer and reach the nations for Jesus. I'm partnered with 2414. 2414 is an organization, ministry that's been around for over a decade, to try to partner with all the different church planting movements and discipleship movements throughout the world to come together to fulfill the Great Commission. That's where Matthew 24:14, to get the gospel out to the ends of the earth. Seed Sower, it's an app that tracks baptism, gospel shares, and churches, and then we're collaborating because we're tracking prayer to try to work together to see the areas that are being prayed for, where there are churches, where people are being baptized, where people are getting the gospel shared. CDN, another partner with Streets of Prayer, they're a church planting organization that started in 2020. They're growing exponentially. Several churches have joined the Pray for Seven initiative. About a year ago, we made bookmarks to get people to pray for seven and then potentially use the app as well. Allen Memorial launched a campaign, Crossway Christian Church, Faith Community Church, and I'm not sure the exact number that came and are using the app because of that, but it was hugely successful. Other partnerships, College of Prayer, they're in almost the whole world, 168 nations, and we're just getting to learn about what they're doing. So it's not an official partnership, but we're making connections and we're seeing how we can work together. And that's a real cool thing that's happening. God is stirring up people working together. That's another example with Nehemiah's prayer canopy. That's something happening here local to Maryland, but God is bringing pastors together, and people have a heart for their cities to work together and cover their cities in prayer. And so it's strategic in how God is bringing this to pass. And Streets of Prayer that was the goal, is to try to cover every place in prayer. It doesn't matter who you're with, what ministry you're doing, what church you're with. Let's come together and pray. So another thing, I'm always making improvements to the app, and you are a big part of that. Your feedback is what makes the app what it is. And so I take it seriously when people email me, reach out to me and say, Aki, I'd like to see this, I don't like this. I really do take it seriously. So the app is where it is today because of you all. We have international connections now as well. Pakistan, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and I think Indonesia, if I didn't mention that. And Pastor Daoud, Pastor Emmanuel, Pastor Joshua, they're from different Pastor Daoud's in Pakistan, Pastor Joshua is in Malaysia, Pastor Emmanuel is in the United States, but he ministers to India, Sri Lanka, and Singapore. He's running church planting movements and discipleship movements in those countries. And they meet us on our morning prayer call. So, and that's what I want to share with you. I am very much accessible. Like, you can reach out to me through email. You can find out more about my story, about Streets of Prayer at streetsofprayer.com. And you can also join me personally in prayer, because every morning I'm on the Zoom praying with people from 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to put these links so you can connect, but I just want you to know I'm here. You know, and some of the really cool things I'm trying to work on right now is app translation. So right now the app is in English only, but I'm developing a tool so we can work together. Those who have, are able to translate languages, that we can streamline the process of translating the app into many languages. And I would love to have it in at least Spanish and possibly one or two other languages by the end of this year. Maybe Spanish and Hindi would be wonderful. So the app translation is on the horizon. I just did a prayer community training this past Monday, which was April 2nd, and wonderful. That's another thing I'm trying to mobilize is, as we pray, that we won't just be praying individually. So we pray for 7, that's 7 unbelievers. We prayer walk our neighborhoods, but we want to do it in community. And so I'm really trying to guide how we can do this in community, because it's been such a blessing to me to have done this in community for the last year and 8 months. So it's been a game changer. And so I have developed a model, and I'm trying to replicate and multiply that model of community prayer. Another cool thing that's happening is the World Prayer Center. April of last year, I got connected with a brother and pastor, Ebenezer, and it's a piece of land in Silver Spring, Maryland, 11 acres, an old Free Methodist campground that's being reused, repurposed for prayer for the nations. And it has almost 50 cabins. Each cabin represents a state in the United States and the nations in those states. And the goal is to have intercessors there 24/7 to come and strategically pray for our states in the United States, the nations in the states, and to pray that we would make disciples, send out the gospel, because we're living in such a huge, amazing opportunity with all the nations coming to the United States. So now we want to capitalize on that, and no better way to capitalize on it than pray. So this place is like a base camp where we mobilize people to pray. They come, they learn, they participate, and then they go to their communities and pray and mobilize gospel sharing, discipleship making, church planting. And so that's a really cool thing that's happening. Like I mentioned earlier on, I just moved the app. So I've been able to save a fair amount of money just by hosting the app on a local server. But it's becoming inconsistent and there have been problems, so I've had to move it to the cloud. It's with Microsoft Azure right now, and I just moved it 2 days ago. So that's a new cost that's that comes out of my savings now. So I really appreciate anything you can participate and partner with me. Primarily prayer. If you can't partner financially, pray that God will raise up people that can. We'd like to raise $120,000 by the end of this year. Pray that the vision will come to pass. Every person, every street covered in prayer by 2030. Pray that Jesus will come back soon, because I can't wait to see him. I hope you can. And continue to just pray for our protection. Pray for those who are praying their protection, and partner with us within any way that God puts on your heart to do so. I thank you so much. And just to put some measurements to it, like here we said, 1,500 people have signed up for Streets of Prayer. If each person gave $100 a year, that would more than cover our costs. That would be $150,000, and that would keep us going for 2 years easily. But I don't know if all 1,500 are going to actually give. So let's just say 10% of that gives. That's 150. We would need basically each person to give $75 to $100 a month to help us reach that goal. So if you're in a position where you can give that, it would be highly appreciated. If you have any questions, you want to reach out, you want to find out what's going on, where the money's going, I disclose it all. I also have a link where you can donate, and it also discloses information where our expenses and what we're doing. So take a look at that, and God bless you, and thank you. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me and all the other believers around the world.